Hey there, everyone. Just got back Monday morning. It was exhausted. It took me 2 days to recover. But I will say I've been looking forward to a nice, chill video to put out there. To the fellow furries that I met and subscribed this weekend, hello to all of you newcomers. But enough of the introductions. We're here to laugh at the young earthers. I checked out of curiosity while at the event and saw the video title, Stalactites and Stalagmites. I've been looking forward to this one, so I won't even call him a son of a bitch. It's getting to be more of a challenge to think of new ways to do the running gag opener for these than it is to debunk his claims. That says a lot about his claims. Anyway, let's get going with this, and I'll watch the video to see how all this goes. Yo, AD?
Hey, bitch!
Good, you made it. So what were you doing over the weekend?
Important things.
Fair enough. You ready?
Absolutely!
Okay. Give us the first clip, please.
Tonight, cave formations, stalactites, stalagmites do not take millions of years to form.
Well, that depends on the environment of the cave. If it's a cave, what kinds of materials are being deposited and so on. Technically, an icicle in the winter is a form of stalactite made of water. And yes, I have seen ice made into a stalagmite on the ground. That was some cool shit. But, let's hear more about Kent's arguments.
Atheists and scoffers are always trying to look for any number bigger than 6,000 just so they can subtly, slap at the Bible.
Hypocrite much? I mean, seriously. Every time I hear old Kenny boy here, he's looking around for anything he can find that is about 6,000 years old and apply that to the entirety of existence. Like written language being about that old, so the universe must be that old. Or let's talk about Niagara Falls from the last video. Let's look at the magnetosphere. He doesn't understand it, but he can bark out a claim with nothing to support it, so it works out for him, right? Now he's going to talk about these deep, dark limestone caves and claim that those ancient cave formations are young? I can't wait to hear this.
What do they want the children to learn at Carlsbad Caverns? For the first time, scientists have established the age of the Carlsbad Caverns. Oh, a limestone cave. Okay, let's see. And guess what? They're 3.9 to 4 million years old, carved out of ancient limestone by the slow drip of rich water and rich. This is for children.
Now he cuts off there so he doesn't say the next words. Sulfuric acid. Water enriched with sulfuric acid. I haven't said anything really before, but I detest how pretentious he sounds every time he does this. Trying to make it sound like he's surprised and ends up sounding just like a little child. Yeah, natural caverns are not only beautiful, but dangerous if you do some really stupid things. From here he goes on his usual tirade about time. I have never heard anyone whine so much about time and pacifiers while sucking on his own biblical pacifier. You see, when you take the Christian's pacifier away from them and speak purely in science, they will cry and cry until you give it back to them. Kent wants his Bible and he really needs his water flood. Sorry, Kent, you can't have the water. And you can't have the Bible and speak science at the same time. So Kent...
Why don't you learn to take criticism, you talentless baby dick troll?
So what's next after his whining?
Don't cave formations take millions of years to form?
Yeah, bitch!
Well, how old is the Earth? 4.543 billion years old.
Well, let me just say you're correct.
Hey, can I speak in my own video?
Oh, no. No.
Carlsbad Caverns. National Park. 250 million years ago, a shallow sea ringed by a vast horseshoe-shaped limestone reef covered the area. As the sea evaporated, the constant dripping of acidic groundwater carved out the massive underground chambers, converted limestone to gypsum, and formed enormous stalactites, stalagmites, and other cave deposits. When the water evaporates, it leaves minerals behind, and it's called flowstone. If it hangs tight to the ceiling, it's called a stalactite. The stalagmites are sitting on the floor where it drips down on the floor. They're not as tall, or wider and fatter.
That was a flawless presentation.
I am not going to get a word in here.
Shut up, dear furry.
No, I will not shut up. I need to talk about what he just said.
You are so cute when you are serious.
Not going to work this time, AD. Now, do I have permission to the educational bit here?
Of course.
Thank you. Okay, so you might have seen pictures of stalactites and stalagmites, or maybe you went and saw them yourselves, in which case I'm jealous. So a stalactite is a formation of material most commonly found in caves and, as mentioned early, on the side of your house in the winter as icicles. Though you can find them just about anywhere, like even under a bridge, if there's enough material in the concrete used to pour the bridge and sufficient conditions. You can see limestone, ice, and again concrete where a water leak, even a drip, can form a stalactites. Stalagmites, and the rarest of all, a column, which is where the two meet in the middle and connect. Though ones on concrete will form rather quickly. Ice stalactites will form the fastest, while cave limestone forms the absolute slowest, since the stone is harder and doesn't pull away as easily as the other two. Now, I am mostly cheating with this since I've heard about his argument on this before. Expect Kent later to talk about soda straw stalactites on a few different basements, and I would put money on it, the Lincoln Memorial. For now, I'll just talk about the oldest ones, the caves. And rather than getting into the dozens and dozens of different types of, like popcorn, not edible, lava types with shark tooth, splash, tubular, when lava flows in different ways, and ice in general on your house or the bottom of glaciers in the water, while saving the concrete when he inevitably gets to it. Cave formations take millions of years to form. They form as limestone dissolving in a carbon dioxide-rich water, forming calcium bicarbonate. The solution now travels through the rock away from oxygen until it comes to the surface, where it touches oxygen-rich air on the roof of a cave, where the chemical reaction that started the process is reversed and turns back into calcium carbonate. The entire process starts with the first drop of water leaving a tiny little ring at the top of a cave. More drops make that ring longer and longer until you end up with a fragile soda straw stalactite. All of these have an average growing rate of about 0.13 millimeters a year. That's about 5/1000ths of 1 inch. Really slow, though they can form at 3 millimeters per year at the fastest in some places. When the soda straw gets plugged, the water will start making the formation wider, as water will start to form on the outside of the straw, starting to form the actual stalactite most people are familiar with. But let's get back to Kent for a moment. He has been stumbling through the formation of the caverns themselves while sounding like a shitty teacher talking to a first graders. He does talk about something worthwhile, though.
Mohs hardness scale. At the bottom is talc. It's a rock, but it's the softest rock. At least it's number 1 on the scale. Above that is gypsum. Gypsum is used for sheetrock. Then you have quartz. Quartz is pretty hard, 7.
So this is useful to talk about. The scale goes from 1 to 10, with 1 being, yes, talc, like talcum powder. You can crush this stuff with your hands. Pause. Hands. 10 being diamond, which is the hardest natural substance known to man. From softest to hardest, it's talc at 1, gypsum at 2, followed by calcite at 3, fluorite at 4, apatite, orthoclase, quartz at 7, then topaz, corundum, and finally diamond at 10. You can measure anything by hardness using this scale, from your fingernail at about 2.5 up to masonry drill bits at 8.5 and so on. In general, if a thing can scratch another thing, it's higher on Mohs' scale. It was developed by Frederick Mohs, like 1822. What does this have to do with stalactites? Well, there's that thing called calcite at 3. Give you 3 guesses to what stalactites and caves are made out of. So yes, they are hard, but not the hardest you can get.
That's what she said.
I walked right into that one. So, do you think bone is harder or softer than a stalactite?
Oh, harder, Daddy.
That was the most unique use of that clip. But yes, it's a 5, so your skeleton is harder than a stalactite. Kent, have any other words of wisdom?
You cannot scratch a diamond with your fingernail.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
How fast do stalactites grow? 0.00028 inches per year. That means it would take 3,000 years to grow 1 inch.
Kent is being deceptive again. Here's the actual words of the screen and not what he said. It says, in caves, stalagmites grow that fast and up to 0.037 inches per year. He said stalactites and only gave the slower rate, which, yes, that does show the Earth is much older since we have huge stalactites and stalagmites. I'm going to chalk this up to Kent doing zero research instead of blatantly lying. He finds the first link and research done. Gotcha again, Kent.
I'll get him next time.
Just play the next clip.
Limestone stalactites form extremely slowly, less than 10 centimeters every 1,000 years. BBC? Oh, gotta be true.
Because it's true. I swear, if I ever do get into a debate with Kent, I'm going to talk to him like he is a 5-year-old. The way he talks is just pretending this is fascinating. It's just so irritating. Grow up, Kent.
Under the Lincoln Memorial, built 1922, in 1960 this photograph was made. Let's see, that's less than 40 years later. They had 50-inch stalactites growing underneath.
That's correct. It's also not a cave. It's a different type of stalactite there. Icicles grow in a single day. Does that debunk cave formations too? I have learned. He will bring up a lot more, I am sure, but yes, there are soda straw stalactites and stalagmites down there. The concrete stalactites I mentioned earlier in the video. Now what he brings up is creationscience.com, Institute for Creation Research, and Answers in Genesis as scientific research. Completely different types of formations and completely different methods of formation. Let's see if he says anything else before we just destroy what's left of him.
Here's a bat covered up with flowstone on the stalagmite. The bat died and happened to land there and got covered up and preserved with flowstone. I don't think it takes millions of years.
Oh yes, this is something really neat. So, most of his talk is all about the same caves, like he found this one place and just did everything about Carlsbad Caverns. Now, what he isn't telling you is that bat in the creationists love to talk about is a skeleton. And it's barely covered in a few millimeters of flowstone. You can clearly make out the outline. What it says is this. This bat, falling in a stalagmite, became firmly cemented as the stone grew. Feet are buried, head hangs down, wing bones show darkly. It's been quite a number of years since that little guy died. Having said that, the bat was at the top of the stalagmite, not the base, and there are bats encased all through the caves. Bats don't live forever and can die in their sleep. In some places in the cave, there are a large number of bats all encased in the rock. This doesn't mean the Earth is 6,000 years old, Kent. It just means bats lived there for a very, very long time. It's not your evidence. It's actually evidence against your stance, since if these grow like you seem to think, that bat would not have had time to decompose like that. It would be encased before it could and be encased that deeply in just a year or two. But it's a skeleton and fossilized. I mean, I'll gladly take the self-debunk there, but I wanted to give you a fighting chance here. He goes on about some young Earth creationist scientists deciding everyone but them is wrong. ACD, play a clip of him for me, please.
Oh, right. Of course.
Now, a group of scientists who believe in young Earth creationism has studied the chemistry of stalagmite and stalactite formation in actual cave formation. They discovered there are many variables. A lot of things can affect this. Let's see, how much carbon dioxide dissolved in the water? Depends upon the temperature and the pressure. The amount of carbon dioxide can vary by a factor of 5. To dissolve calcium carbonate, limestone, more turbulent water can dissolve more calcium carbonate. The same water under pressure can dissolve even more. Once the water seeps out of the cave and the pressure is relieved, starts to form these formations. Pressure is relieved, the water evaporates. Actual growth rates of actual caves have been observed as 1 inch every 7.5 days.
For starters, not actual caves. They did nothing. Zero, zilch, nada in any actual natural cave. What these cheese balls actually did was go under concrete structures they want to call caves, where the formations will grow much, much faster, like we were saying at the start of the video, and why I have been persistent about saying natural caves this entire time. What the young Earth cherry pickers did is wander out to these places and do research, then tried to pawn it all off as the same when science admits and explains why these formations come about so fast in the super ideal conditions found in these man-made structures. Yeah, Kent, I'm not surprised at more dishonesty from you. Actual science knows what you're bullshit, and they know why your version of events is just as bullshit as the bullshit you bullshit. Audio Clip Demon, is his bullshit just bullshit, and why do you think it is?
Stop getting hysterical, fatty!
Oh, fuck off. Let's just go on. He goes from there to the Genesis flood, but we already know that never actually happened. But the flood, oh, now that is neat and interesting. He says that the flood covered the earth in a truly massive amounts of mud. But here he says this, and I won't trim this one down to cut out his silent moments and throat clearing and garbled mumbling, so he can't say I changed a damn thing.
The violence and high pressures developed during Genesis flood would have provided the ideal conditions for producing a great deal of underground water, super saturated with calcium carbonate. See, all the layers were still mud for hundreds, if not maybe thousands of feet of layers of mud from Noah's flood, from the tidal pumping. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
So, question for you, Kent. If there was hundreds, if not thousands of feet of mud, where did it all go? The caves are empty now. Bats live in them. They are constantly being visited and watched and inspected, but no mud. No dirt mixing down there. So how did that part of the world get excavated? You just said the floodwaters would have saturated the area and covered it in hundreds or thousands of feet of mud. You just debunked yourself again. How absolutely stupid can you be, Kent? Anyway, he pushes right along with the different man-made structures, so this is a good time to explain why man-made structures will form these kinds of formations, stalactites and stalagmites, and occasionally columns. These are not traditional types of formations you would see in caves. There's even a name for them. Calthemite. They are from concrete, lime, and mortar and similar materials found in man-made constructions outside of the cave environment. They group inside or under our buildings. Occasionally, you can find them in basements of some places and in underground parking garages. They are actually a sign of degradation of the concrete that is very porous in comparison to caves, so water tends to seep through and drip down from above quite easily. Calthamites form when a hyperalkaline solution seeps through the concrete at pH levels above a 9 and getting up to a 14. So they'll eat away at the lime and the cement to start the process and get it moving quickly in similar ways I talked about before. Only they will form much faster than limestone, dolomite, or marble caves. In this case, the alkaline solution hits the air and CO2 will then start the chemical reaction to form the calcium carbonate, turning these places into artificial caves where things will move along much faster and you will get soda straw stalactites in a matter of months and years. Since these places are frequently traveled, workers and crews will clean them up in places not frequently visited. They are allowed to keep forming as an artificial attraction sometimes. Understand, these calthamites only mimic the cave formations called speleotherms. They form much faster because the concrete that spawns them is degrading quickly, unlike the limestone caves that aren't. And thus, the vast difference and why Kent comparing the two is like comparing a scientist's IQ to a 4-year-old's, or Kent's.
This guy's a total disgrace.
So it's more man-made buildings over and over. If he brings up an actual cave, I'll let you know. In the meantime, I'm going to let it run and see what happens while writing this. He said something about endless caverns. So it seems a bucket was left in the caverns and it ended up getting covered in limestone deposits. Okay, he finally had a thing. Cool. Here's the catch. So yes, there was a huge amount of deposits on the bucket. Why? Because there's an underground river down there with a massive amount of moisture making everything move like it's on fast forward. Remember earlier when I mentioned in ideal conditions it can actually form a lot faster even in a cave? Things will form quickly and the formations are fragile because of this. In fact, the research I did on this, I found that the caverns develop in a similar way to the cement structures in the area of the river. Now, what Kent doesn't want to tell you is that in most of the cavern, there are no formations. Yep, totally barren of any limestone deposits at all. Oh, and it's not filled in with flood mud. Neither is Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. Anyway, the rest of it is all man-made structures, which we did already, and he just repeats it over and over like it's his trump card when science already explains how all of that works. I guess we'll just call it there. So, as you can see, I'm back from my vacation. I sold a bunch of stuff over the weekend, and I had a great time goofing off and running around as a fluffy atheist. Special thanks to the audio clip demon for his work and all of today's fun. Anything you want to say to new subscribers?
Who are you and what do you want?
Now, hey. I met all of the new folks, and they are awesome. Please say hello.
Nice to meet you, bitch.
The audio clip demon has a unique personality, but we love him. I just hope I'm not misgendering him. Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Are you non-binary and that's why you have so many different voices?
Yeah, bitch.
So I should call you they, them.
Absolutely!
So that's why you've been tormenting me with insults. ACD, I am very sorry.
If you kiss my ass any harder, you'll go right inside me.
Right. So, shall we just close this out for the night?
Yeah. Bye.
Cool. I am Corsi, and this is the Fluffy Atheist. If you like this kind of thing, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. Show me off with friends to share a funny video, or if you just want to point and laugh. I'm good either way.